This is Newcap News with Lauren Pullen.
Good evening, and thank you very much for joining us. Parents and students in Saskatchewan expect big changes this year. For the first time in close to a decade, kids will hit the classroom after Labor Day. But in the Lloydminster Public School Division, there will also be no spring break and less early dismissals. The Ministry of Saskatchewan is mandating each school must have 950 hours of classroom time.
It really was a response to looking at how Saskatchewan was comparing to other school divisions, other provinces on international scores. Other provinces, for instance, like Alberta, will be somewhere between 950 to 1,000 hours per year.
To make up the extra hours, along with a slashing spring break, the LPSD will only have one 2:30 dismissal on the second Wednesday of every month, instead of having an early day every Wednesday. Dr. Diachuk says the extra hours can help student success.
The reality, though, is there are about 2/3 of students that do need extra time in terms of saying, I need to go over this again. I need to be taught a different way. I need to see it in a different way in order for me to fully comprehend and master material.
Students' first day back at school is September 4th. Well, economists have been warning for weeks now. Brace yourself for price hikes at the supermarket. But grocery stores aren't the only ones affected. Local food banks are feeling the pinch as well.
We go through probably 10 to 15 hampers almost every day.
The food bank is in desperate need of donations. Lieutenant Bridge says she serves at least 8 people every day, most families of 6 or more. And with forecast higher food prices, she expects even more demand. Each food hamper costs $125 and will last roughly a week.
People who may be used to donate maybe $100 worth of groceries, we get less product then for that same $100 worth of donations.
But the local food bank also needs help in other ways.
And we would love it if there was somebody who was interested in helping out. All they have to do is gather the items that are on the list after we've had an intake with an individual, and put them in a buggy and hand them to the people.
The food bank is open between 2 to 4 p.m. Tuesday to Friday. A national report is blacklisting Saskatchewan for not making fitness a top priority. The report shows Saskatchewan and Manitoba are at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to health and exercise. Bart Padiasic took the local look at the findings.
The report surveyed Canadians from all provinces with questions about health and fitness. When asked if they're extremely worried about their health, nationally 15% agreed, but only 4% did in Saskatchewan and Manitoba. 17% in those two provinces also describe themselves as being very physically active, 10% less than the national average. In Motion is concerned about that attitude.
Well, I mean, there's studies out there all the time that are saying different things, and it's just important to know that you have to remain fit and doing your physical activity on a regular basis.
According to the Service Sports Centre, those numbers don't seem to apply to Lloydminster.
I mean, we always keep seeing more and more people here. Definitely, every year more and more memberships are bought, more and more admissions every year. So it is quite busy.
The Service Sports Centre has been around for 5 years, and every year numbers have been up from last.
I think more people want to get fit. Fitness in the world itself is becoming more and more popular. And plus the city is increasing, so of course there's more people.
But even if you don't want to make your way to a gym, In Motion has some tips to stay active in your daily life.
You can do physical activity in any way, shape, or form. I mean, just parking a little bit farther from the grocery store or the mall, wherever you're heading, or chasing your kids around the backyard. Those are all small things that you can do just to increase your physical activity.
Bart Padiasic, Newcap News.
Everyone's heard of the phrase saving for a rainy day, but a new poll suggests it's something many Canadians simply can't afford. As Kelsey Bloxham explains, the CIBC study finds nearly half of Canadians don't have enough money set aside for an unexpected emergency.
An emergency can happen anytime, anywhere. Your vehicle could blow a gasket, or a broken bone could put you out of work for weeks. But still, 45% of Canadians don't have money set aside for those rainy days.
No, not everybody does have that emergency fund set up. And I know, like, in today's world, it's very tough and difficult with things being so expensive, house prices being so high, to try and get that amount of an emergency fund saved up.
Industry standards say you should have up to 3 months' worth of household income set aside.
And of course, the more that you can put away, the better, ideally. But yeah, to have that 3-month nest egg there, and like I said, for the stuff that you don't expect.
And while putting aside that much may be unrealistic for some, there are options available.
So that's where stuff like a line of credit that you could have readily available to you might be feasible as well, right? Okay, I can't save up $12,000 and have that just sitting there, and you'll come to get that from a lot of people, but a lot of people can have access to, say, for example, a $5,000 or $6,000 line of credit.
I'm always very careful about having stuff like that money ahead in case I get sick or something.
No, only RRSPs and probably a little bit of cash in the bank.
Just in case I don't work, so it's nice to have that security.
The poll surveyed Canadians from coast to coast. It found that British Columbians are the most likely to have an emergency fund set up, with 60% of those polled saying that they did. As for us here on the border, Albertans are the least likely to save, with only 53% saying that they had that type of fund set up. As for Saskatchewan, they came in second, tied with Quebec, with 57% of those polled saying that they had funds set aside for those rainy days. Kelsey Bloxham, Newcap News.